Sounds good.
Why not, right? All we gotta do is try things.
Right. I'm rewinding.
Rewinding.
Oh,
That's like a term that we don't use anymore.
We're on.
We are, and welcome everyone to the Mechanics Institute. My name is Abel Talamantes. I'm the chess director, and with me is FIDE Master Paul Whitehead. And we are covering the final two rounds of the Ray Conway Memorial Tuesday Night Marathon. And International Master Elliot Winslow is in sole first place with 5.5 out of 6. And he is on board one right here, taking on FIDE Master Kyron Griffith. It's going to be a battle because they've gone back and forth several times over the last, year and a half. And
I think did Elliot ever meet Ray Conway? Did he ever did you ever have a conversation about that with him?
I did not have a conversation with him, so I don't know if he did or didn't.
Yeah, Ray Conway, also known as Two Gun, former chess room director, like yourself, Abel.
And Two Gun, not just a nickname of something else, right? An actual gun.
Yeah, an actual gun. He was a former prison guard at San Quentin, so that made him a perfect chess room director, I think. And he was the originator of the Tuesday Night Marathon. That's right. I played in the second one in late 1972.
Wow. You were like 1 year old or something?
What?
You were like, how old were you then?
I was 12.
12.
Yeah. And my brother was 11.
Do you have those games?
I have one game from that tournament.
Wow.
And it's against my brother.
No. Hey, we got to publish that sometime in the newsletter. Has it been in the newsletter before?
I think I put it in the newsletter when I sort of wrote a little article about me and my brother and all the times we played.
I didn't realize.
First game.
Yeah.
I included our first game, which was a win for me, and then I included our last game, which was a win for him. And he certainly surpassed me in chess strength at that point. It was at Ms. Brown's Country Kitchen tournament in the Mission District, a tournament organized by Guillermo Ray. And won by Chris Ramarat, a very strong international master.
I knew him very well.
From the Philippines.
When I was playing.
And Elliot Winslow got his IM norm in that tournament.
Wow. A lot going on.
And Jay beat me like a drum.
So this is the board one match, Elliot.
Yeah, let's look at this for a minute.
What do you think?
Well, it's a typical isolated queen pawn situation here. You want I always want the attacking side to do well here. I'm not sure how white. You never know how the attack should be continued. Knight takes d5 or bishop a4 or knight e4 or something like that. But if we look a little more closely, white can't play knight e4 because of knight to b4. And then a b4, knight b4, and the bishop's lost on c2. If you play bishop a4, there's something I like about bishop a4. Maybe knight takes c3 and you take the pawn. And even though you give up the a3 pawn, white's facing some questions here about exactly how to continue. I want to play knight takes d5 and bishop, and if queen d5, bishop b3. But then queen h5 attacks the bishop at h6. I'm not sure white's gotten anything going here.
And for anyone just tune in and wondering what you're looking at, this is the Mechanics Institute Tuesday Night Marathon, named after former chess director Ray Conway. This is going to be round 7 and 8. So round 7 just started at 6:30. These games on chess.com are manually paired. So we pair these games. So the 6:30 start time and the 8 o'clock start time for round 8 is a known thing. It's kind of a nice little thing we're able to provide for our bigger, higher profile events. And so this is round 7, and then round 8 will happen at 8 p.m. tonight.
And we also have Grandmaster Gusainov playing in the tournament.
That's right, and he's on board too, so let's go to that game.
Swing over there, against Michael Walder.
Michael Walder.
Who's a very uncompromising player.
Oof.
No matter which... That's a bad. That's
a blunder, right? Doesn't Knight F6 win?
It looks like it's very strong. It's hard to believe Michael overlooked that. He could have played H6 maybe, or even taken on E. Well, no, he can't take on E4. I suppose. Knight F6. G takes F6 is mate in 2. Queen H7 and Queen H8, but Bishop F6. But obviously White's going to play this. I mean, Knight F6 check looks very strong.
But he had to have seen this, right? I mean, this is...
Well, I don't know. The time control is 35 and 2, and he's used up 29. He's used up only 5 minutes. It's incredible how fast the players play sometimes.
But this may not be so cut and dry because Gadir is thinking about it.
Also, Black may have, felt like he was sort of compelled to play this way because maybe White was going to play Knight F6 check anyway. Like if H6 possible is Knight F6 check, anyway, maybe, or the Rook comes up first. Very, very strong attack. Black is. If there's a win here, though, Gusainov is going to find it.
And let's do just a quick check-in on board 3, which is Felix German, mechanics regular, and against international master Prasanna Rao.
So this looks like a Dutch Leningrad or something. What opening is this? No, it's not a Dutch Leningrad.
It's a Dutch Staunton accepted Chigorin variation.
Okay, all right. So, okay. Staunton Gambit. Yeah. Well, it's a complicated position. White's a little better developed, but whereas he needs to get something going here. Let's take advantage of that.
Let's jump back to this other game because Knight F6 was played, and this is the current position.
Well, this looks very dire, but not necessarily. So, Bishop takes C4. Black can play Queen takes C4, but not Rook, Pawn takes because of Rook E6, probably. Even that's not clear after Queen A7 check. Let's keep it on here for a second.
Yeah.
See if White
go on.
I mean, F5 looks logical. F5 looks very logical.
And
maybe Black is, can play E5 then and hide the king at E7.
And just want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Judith Stare, who is the chief tournament director, and she is in the virtual back room, pairing all these games manually and keeping tabs on everything that's going on, and does amazing work for mechanics, and it is a lot of work actually to pair the games, and one of the issues we had, and I could actually tell when I was pulling up the games because we pair them on a Google sheet, there were a lot of no-shows, and it is quite tough when people don't show because you have to mark it that they're not. You got to move on to the next game and then come back to it and try to start that, and it's a lot to do, and it gets pretty hectic. So we appreciate everything you do, Judith, and know it's a lot of work. So thank you. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, white, apart from anything else, is a pawn ahead. And so that counts for something here. I mean, white would probably, if white's king was on h1, right now, it would deny black a lot of counterplay, it's just, it's still going to be tough.
In the game chat of this game, Gusainov and Walder, there's someone that writes, "Isn't this stupid? Chess.com wants us to watch what we write, but lets an advertisement that says vote or die." So, good point.
Vote or die, huh?
Anyway.
I wonder what that means. Very strange thing to say.
Very, very dubious.
Yeah, dubious.
Let's go to the top board and see what's developed there between Elliot Winslow, the tournament leader, against Kyron Griffith.
Okay, so Elliot took on d5, and Kyron did take with the queen, and then Elliot played h4. So Elliot's just giving away the pawn at a3. Well, I guess it can't be taken because of c4. So, black, what's black going to do here? Play knight a5, maybe? And then rook e5. Elliot needs just one little, try to butter up the black king side there with h5.
Get himself
this is a
back
very
in there.
Tough, this is a, very tough little game here. And black took on c3. Elliot really wants to play pawn h5. Tough little game here.
This will be a chess match in the true sense of the...
Yeah, I mean, these players play for blood against each other.
And
they both are in form. Elliot's a bit of a time trouble addict, whereas Kyron plays quickly.
And this is a pretty good game for those who are knowledgeable about the players in the Bay Area. This is Nicholas Wang against Javier Silva. Two young players, and I don't even know if they're in their teens yet, but they're fantastic talents. They're both in the neighborhood of like 1900 USCF. And here they are, battling it out online.
Well, you gotta like black. He's up 2 pawns here.
Whoa, oh no, something happened there on the king side.
So, unless there's some kind of funny moves, knight b6 looks really strange. I'm not sure about that. Queen d3 hits h7, gets out of the pin. That's a bizarre move, that knight b6.
Maybe he's looking at castle on the other side.
Yeah. Knight f8 looked a little safer, maybe, but I don't know.
And check this out. We have a game here. Nicholas Boldy is black. Ethan Boldy is black. And this is Richard Hack, as with white.
Well, I like white's position here. Although the king position's a little insecure. This move might hold. Now queen h5, queen f3. This is a nice move, queen c6. I like white. I like white's structure. It's much stronger than black's, the pawns and everything.
He's going to have to keep what he has here, because if he lets Ethan improve, he's going to be in a lot of gonna have a lot of problems there. Let's go back to the board 3 with Gadir and Mike Walder.
So white's gone into the think tank here.
Yeah, big time. 16 minutes and change.
I mean, it's an interesting. I mean, part of me wants to just play something like King H1, but I mean, white. Like I said, white's sort of got an extra pawn, but black's king is now surprisingly safe over at E7, I think. It would surprise me if this game ended in a mating attack now.
He may just have to look to just improve position.
Right,
at this point.
And maybe exploit the passed H pawn, but black's got counterplay on the queen side too. So it's a tricky position. It's quite tricky.
And let's go back to the
Prasanna's
game here. King H1 played by Felix.
Yeah, this game is still in balance. It's still the pawn structure is unusual, so it's kind of hard to pin down where the pieces are going to go and stuff like that. White would like to increase his space advantage somehow and play C4. I like King H1. It provides a square for the bishop maybe, and white's still maybe going to try to play C4. It's a tough little game here.
Back to the top board.
Yeah. Okay, so bishop takes G5, an interesting decision on Kyron's part, and then knight H5. So black is just going to be like, I'm going to win on the C file. And Elliott has to sort of get something going on the king side, which might be possible. I mean,
he's using a lot of time.
Yeah. It's not easy suddenly here.
And
knight E5, of course, queen G2 mate.
Kyron seems pretty comfortable in this position here. He hasn't used a whole lot of time, and he knows he's up against a tough opponent.
Rook E5, queen C4. Yeah, it's a little awkward for white here. Surprisingly so.
Let's jump to this game because I think it looked good when you looked at it, but I think white's in a little bit of danger here, no?
Yeah, he is. Well, queen E2 check is
even
very strong. Well, knight B5 was probably a lemon. Because now black has this incredibly strong threat. He shouldn't have allowed the rook down on the second rank. And white should have played king D3. Although queen H5 probably still would have been stronger. This was a mistake.
And I think the knight B5 allowed the rook to get to A2.
Yeah. Knight B5 was a mistake.
So he's going to have to figure that one out.
It's going to be a hard one to figure out, I think.
And back to this interesting game here with Gadir and Walder.
Okay, so he played king H1. Yeah, that kind of could be expected. I think the king is better on H1, and white's just kind of up a pawn right now, and it kind of throws the ball back to black, which is probably the right thing to do here in the absence of a forced win. And also, there's the threat now of probably playing. Yeah, there's still no direct threat. I mean, if bishop C4, queen C4, and you're still guarding against rook E6 and stuff like that. So there's still no, even though king H1's a useful move, there's still, black needs to do the same thing that white's doing, which is find a useful move. Probably start with pawn takes B4, and at least open the A file, and black has to be careful. I mean, moves like king E7 can actually run into moves like rook e6, even though that doesn't work right away. Yeah, I mean, king e7 might even be a move here for black. This is a can of worms. Not easy. Not easy at all.
And check this game out here. This is Chelsea Zhu is white against Vishva Nanuganda. And Chelsea had gone 4-0 in the marathon, but then she ran into a buzzsaw of Elliott. And then,
and resigned against Elliott in a position where she still had chances.
Yeah, it was equal. It just did not see. 91 was the move in that game that she didn't see. But
well, white looks like she has terrific compensation here for a pawn.
Well, she is up. She is up.
She's up the exchange. What am I talking about?
The exchange. Yeah. So she is.
So black is close to lost here.
Good to go. She looks good to go.
Yeah.
Jump back to board one here.
Elliott finally finds queen e3. Interesting. All right, so this is with the idea of bishop e4 and maybe queen f4. I mean, white had to find a move there, and I'm not surprised Elliott took a long time. It was a tough little moment. So I guess the pawn is going. Knight c4, queen f4, and then knight takes a3. I mean, bishop e4, queen g7, knight e5. If white can get knight e5 and knight g4 and quickly, then black could be in some trouble. I can see that. So this game is quite tense, and whites may start giving up some things on the queen side too in order to get going on the king side. That's the way that it's sort of playing out. So interesting. Another interesting game. We're blessed with interesting games in the Tuesday night marathon.
And Ethan Boldy did convert that win and won that game against Richard Hack.
Richard played a rash move, knight b5.
Let's go back to this one, board 2, Grandmaster Gadir Gusainov.
So, I mean, black has to do what white's been doing, which is just kind of pass here. Take on C. I would take on b4. There's no reason not to, and then maybe play king e7 and just, ask white, what are you going to do? If bishop c4, queen c4, and that maintains a strong position for the queen, and I don't see a knockout blow there for white. If white plays f5, black's going to play e5, and I don't see that is helping white to do that. In fact, it seems to sort of take away potential.
And Walder thinking it through now. It's interesting because we thought this was, there was a lot of danger here. If
bishop g6, just rook f8 and sort of, say, okay, then I'm threatening bishop takes f1 and you don't have anything with on f7, and the black bishop is very strong at c4. So maybe just king e7. It looks eccentric. First take on b4 and then play king e7, maybe. I'm not convinced white has an advantage here. Black's pieces are very well placed for the pawn. I mean, in an endgame, if white can get some pieces off, then he has the h-pawn to go forward, but Michael's in an interesting position here.
And
yeah.
Back to the top.
back to the top. We've got some tough games going here. And again, the players are putting in some time thinking now.
And we want to take the opportunity real quick just to thank all our players for participating in this Tuesday night marathon and hanging out with us every Tuesday. It's fun for us to cover the action, but it's even better that we're able to bring this to everyone that wants to enjoy and watch some good chess and some strong competition.
And join the Mechanics Institute, everybody who's watching.
A lot of benefits in join, and you know, the thing too is that the benefits are not limited to online. So when you get savings in tournament entries, that extends to live when we're back to live. Walter Brown says hi in the chat.
Yeah, Walter Brown.
And you know, and you also get access to the rest of the Institute, whether it be the beautiful membership library that's there, cinema lit events, author events, speaker events, and everything. So membership has its privileges. $120 for the whole year. It's a steal, and at the end of the day, you're supporting what we do at the Mechanics Institute, because we can't do what we do without the health of the Institute as a whole. So join the Mechanics Institute, realize the savings. There it is right there in the chat. Have you guys watched the Queen's Gambit? I've started the Queen's Gambit. I love it. I enjoy it. I read somewhere where someone was being critical of it, you know, for reasons that you know, it's a player that is showing genius aptitude at chess, but from where I'm at through episode 3. She sort of advances pretty quick to be able to, you know, play amongst, you know, international masters and what have you. But, you know, so one would question the authenticity that, you know, it doesn't happen like that, where someone just, you know, rapidly goes from, you know, beating people at a local club tournament to being able to sit down with a national master and beat them, right? But the character development is very intriguing, and that's what I really enjoy about it. I mean, Fischer was a chess prodigy, but I mean, even Fischer, you know, he was a chess prodigy at 9, but he still had to wait, you know, over a decade to win the world championship, right?
Well, Fischer is actually, you know, that's an interesting thing. In the strict definition of a word, Fischer was not a prodigy. The prodigies are players like Capablanca and Reshevsky and Pomar, players that and Morphy, players that at the age of 5 to 10 were able to play masters, and sort of had an intuitive grasp of chess that was like that they find in mathematics and music as well. So
and that's how they did it in the show, where you know, once she learned it, she was seeing the board in her head and playing out moves in her head.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
I mean, how old is she when that happens in the movie?
I believe she was 9 when she first started.
So I mean, I guess that's within that 5-year to 10-year range, you know, at that age. Although, like with Capablanca and Reshevsky, it was earlier, I think.
So Walter Brown's in the chat saying Bobby stayed at his house. I know he stayed at the house of Steve Brandwine.
Yeah. So who is Walter Brown? Who are you, Walter Brown?
You must reveal yourself.
Yeah, and I hope Elliot wins this tournament as well. And so, Joe.
Is that Joe Tracy?
No, I don't think. Rick Hack. That's Richard Hack. Bobby used to get on my phone and tie up the line. I believe it. That's funny. I feel like I should know who this is. Is this, could this be Peter Biasis? No. He was talking to the State Department.
Unless it's Walter Brown. You had to kick him out.
Yeah, I believe it. So black is avoiding the cheapo rook takes e6, and now has this target at d3 and at b4. So this is, white's got the pass to h pawn, but this still looks quite playable for black. And you played tennis at his club. Well, Walter, who are you?
He spit on the letter in Yugo in 1992. Was that when the State Department was after him? And he spit on that letter? I guess
so, yeah. Do we have beginners lectures at the Mechanics Institute? Yes, we do. Or we did at the for the pandemic. Before the pandemic.
And depending on whether this is for an adult player or a scholastic player, if it's an adult player, John Grief and I smoked pot with Bobby.
Okay, I think I know who Walter Brown is. Like, I just know who he is. But I can't say right away. I mean, it's just not completely clear.
It's like we're solving a problem here. We're trying to solve a main three of who this person is.
Well, let's look at the chess games here.
Sure.
So I think Felix is sort of overshot the mark here, and he's lost a pawn, and black probably is going to play pawn to e6 and consolidate here. That's my guess. There's some dangers. Queen h4 maybe. Okay, so Prasanna takes action with this move.
What of bishop f5?
Well, yeah. Then there's a bunch.
Oh, you can take the bishop though.
Bishop f5, black could almost play knight h3. No, probably not. But probably would just play bishop e6, maybe.
Yeah.
And, or something like that. Black's going to give the pawn back up too, because white actually might have been getting something there. A little bit of an attack.
Felix down to 12 minutes there.
Bishop f5, I agree. I mean, bishop e6, bishop h7 doesn't look that good, but who knows? Maybe white can cook up some crazy attack here.
Going back to the top board in this round.
Walter Brown is down at the Oaks playing poker.
It's the poker room's open over there in
That's hilarious. All right, so this Elliot has really decided to just give up the queen side and play for mate. So this is what the fans all want, and he's willing to give it to them. So, white's got moves like d5 and
there we go.
Knight h2. I just was going to say knight h2 and plays it. I mean, Elliot's like, I'm going to put my knight at f6 or h6 and watch out Kyron.
And it is a thing here on our broadcasts because someone's asking in the chat, is there any live engine analysis? We do not use an engine in analyzing our games.
I'm the only chess engine the Mechanics Institute needs this evening.
And we love the analysis even when it's wrong.
Yeah, it's often wrong, but always
authentic. Always authentic.
Authentic. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Abe. But actually, we might get we have special guests sometimes that are much stronger than I am, and they dish out to the players as well. I'm not the only one.
and some are very brutally honest with them.
Yeah, I never. We didn't use the engines back in the old days, so we were adjournments and all this kind of stuff. I love the way Elliot's playing chess lately. It's just attack, the sharpest moves that he can find, and
no fear.
He's right a lot of the time. I mean, his games are just are really imaginative and brilliant lately. I agree with about the engines. I'm really against engines. I mean, I'm not a serious analyst. I never was anyway. So, I know that they can prove you wrong and all that stuff, but so what about Bishop H7 here? This is what I was looking at.
I was looking at that.
I guess Knight H3, Queen H4, Knight takes G5. I think White's warming out of gas. No, that can't be good. Knight H3 looks very strong. And at Queen H4, just Knight takes G5. Just take everything.
But why not just play? Oh, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, I was looking at D5 as well. That's a crazy looking move. D5, and if threatening Queen D4 check, although it doesn't really, I guess, because of Pawn E5. But Queen H4, okay, Queen H4 now, that's right. Okay, then I guess EF5, Queen F4, maybe White has some positional compensation there. Yeah, D5, EF5, Queen D4, Rook E5. That's true too. No, I don't think you can have live analysis. Well, no, I guess you can have live analysis.
We can because we're following the game.
We choose not to.
Yeah, we prefer to do it this way. It's sort of worked for, and Paul's a FIDE master, so it's not like me giving commentary, which everyone knows would be a disaster because I'm only 1800. But yeah, and it sort of worked. I mean, you've been pretty right. Actually, there was one time when we were at Mechanics when you were giving commentary, and Jude and I were looking at the engines as you were doing it, and it was right on. It was pretty accurate. I remember her and I were going back like, wow, he's on point. He's got it pretty well.
Well, one time out of 1,000 isn't bad.
No, it was a poor sample size, but it worked that time. So.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays chess authors go to the engines a lot, and I guess to get at the sort of the truth of the matter.
Whoa!
Oh, this is interesting here.
Look at that at H2 there with the queen. And
right. So White's going to play Queen F4. It looks forced. Rookies. Yeah. Queen F4.
Yeah, I have to play. Yeah.
And then I suppose Black is going to be okay, or still White's barely hanging on to his extra pawn.
This is very well done by Mike Walder.
Well, now White's got this worrying H pawn a bit.
Yeah, certainly not out of the woods, but
now E5 might be right, and although then White plays Rook E4, threatening pawn D4. I want to get as active as possible if I'm Black here, and get something going before White just does a slow consolidation. But our players are certainly giving Gusainov and Prasanna run for their money. I mean, they're not finding it easy here.
Making them work for it. But look at this. Elliot is invading
We might get a draw here. Like something like queen e7, queen f4, queen d6, queen e7, you know. Although on queen e7, I guess white could play knight g4 and take the exchange. It's possible. Yeah, you know, I always liked analysis without all that, you know, the thickets of lines, you know,
but isn't it?
Some players are really into that, but you know.
But the thing is that it actually does provide the best line. No, I mean that's the hard part about it is that computer
but
did
it doesn't. It doesn't provide the best line for a human. It's like, you know.
So what's the difference then between what's the best for a human and the best by computer, right?
Well, I guess the line is getting smaller and smaller. I mean, people like Carlson play, you know, I'm not going to say they play like computers because they don't, but they play with a degree of accuracy that can seem computer-like, and they've learned from computers in that way. But for the rest of us, you know, we're not gonna learn much from playing computers. I don't think at all, or learn hardly anything at all from playing computers. From analyzing with them, you have to be an analyst, you know, and sort of take that kind of approach. Otherwise, the problem is the computers are not explaining anything in English,
sure,
Polish, you know, Lithuanian, or any other language. So you're left to interpret this stuff anyway. So it seems very problematic.
Let me
the only solution to a computer is a sledgehammer. Well, then we'd all have to meet in the streets and play chess right now, because we're actually doing this with computers right now.
And Tejas, I just sent you that, so check your email. And let's see where we're at here.
Yeah, this is still, Elliot's game is tough. Board 1 is an interesting game. And it could be maybe they, you know, Black might have some compensation after queen e7, knight g4, queen f6, but I don't think so. Kyron's playing with danger here. Grabbed the pawn on the queen side, and Elliot is... All right, so now it's either knight g4 or queen back to f4. With queen f3 as some odd possibility too, but...
And joining us...
Interesting game, interesting.
We have Tejas Mahesh joining us. He's a volunteer at Mechanics, Scholastic player.
Tejas.
Hello. I'm glad to be on the broadcast today.
Perfect. You get see what's going on here with this game here with Elliot and Kyron. And Kyron has played queen d8.
So, yeah, I believe knight g4, as was suggested in the chat, is a really strong move here.
Well, Kyron's going to give up the exchange, I suppose, and then you know, try to. And if Elliot can blow it up, blow the center open, he's going to win.
Yes, but once you give up the exchange, let's say knight g4, queen takes f6, knight takes f6 check.
And Elliot did offer a draw.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like he's definitely in trouble. As I was saying,
I don't know. I mean, it's Elliot's a half a point ahead of the field, and he's just kind of hedging his bets a little bit. Kyron needs to win, I think, to try to for first place here. So Yeah, it's a funny draw for. I agree. I don't. It's either a psychological ploy or maybe he just is not sure.
How could it be a psychological ploy?
Well, maybe it's to get Kyron confused. Yeah, I'm not sure actually.
There.
Queen f6, knight f6, king f8.
Knight takes e8, right?
Rook takes e8, and then maybe pawn d5.
I was thinking about that. So pawn d5, e d5.
Well,
rook takes
no,
e8.
I think if you go rook takes e8, king 8, rook d5. Yeah, the players are. I agree that.
They agreed to a draw.
Yeah, I think Elliott's probably better. I mean, he could play queen f4 and try that too, because maybe if queen d6, maybe
and Kyron in the game chat is saying he was going to play knight d6, but he thinks he might have been losing. Thought about playing knight d6 right now.
Oh, I see. Knight h6 check, king f8. That just loses, right? Queen h8 check, king e7, and then maybe rook e6 check.
Ooh, fancy. That might actually work because, as you were probably thinking, of takes e6, queen d7 check.
Okay, so wait a minute. Queen so knight d6, knight h6, king f8, queen h8, king e7, rook e6. If f takes e6, queen g7 it's not.
No,
well,
because there's not f7.
you play knight f7, but then queen f7 check. Probably, I don't know. I mean, maybe knight f7.
I think knight f7 is stronger, right? So for queen d7, maybe we have queen f6 check there.
Well, anyway, interesting.
So let's go back
Yeah,
to
let's
this
move
game.
on to next board.
Well, let's check this one out. This is Persona Rayo and Felix. This is the current position.
Well, it seems like black has found a way into white's position faster than white has. That's not a very good sign.
It looked like black had was doing certainly better than what it looks like here.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paul? Black's still better, or?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, can white hold the knight at? Yeah, this is maybe rook a3 here. It looks like a weird move, but
And bishop d5 check.
king f2. Oh, then rook f3. Yeah.
So it seems like, I mean, rook a3 check, bishop d5, rook a3, bishop d5 check, king h2 maybe, and then hoping for knight b5 or knight b1.
Well, then knight b5 can be met by rook e2 check. So white probably is tying himself in knots here.
Ooh, yeah, that's not good.
Maybe
Rook
plays
e1.
So he's going to play rook c1.
And that wins the pawn straight away, doesn't it? That too much of a fuss?
That's what he's trying.
Wow. It seemed like white's pawns were weaker than I actually thought it was. How interesting. d5, that's a nice try.
Let's check in on the board.
I'm not
too.
sure. c5, and you're still faced with that.
But you have rook b3 there, right? The bishop's cut off. And maybe you could somehow try something, I guess. I mean, it's very hopeful. But
And in this
I mean,
game,
white is in a dire situation.
in this game, Gadir is doing what you were saying, that H pawn kind of marching down.
This looks like a long way from being over.
Yeah.
But black has to organize. I mean, this is a protected pass pawn, H pawn. So Where's black's going to get counterplay? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe the king can go over and deal with the h-pawn, and then black can play rook c4, rook d4, something like that, and try to get some counterplay over
Rook
there.
c4 does win the b4 pawn, right? So I'd say that's a good start. But my only problem is that if the rook does get to h1, let's say after rook takes c4, b takes c4, and then rook e4, and c3, rook h4, if it does work. No, it doesn't work. It's too slow. But if you followed something of that sort, don't you think that white would be able to win if he just brings the rook to the h file? So maybe for rook c4, a better idea would be to play rook e3 or something. Or rook 1 e3.
And then rook takes e3, rook takes e3, rook b4, h6, king f8.
I see the problem.
Rook
h6, king f8, king h3.
Right, you can go king g8.
And yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, and Elliot's pointing out h6, rook h4 check, but then rook can go to h3. Where, yeah, well.
But that's still winning. That seems to be winning for black there.
He's done it. He's done it.
He has to try something. So I don't know. I thought we said that rook takes c4 doesn't work exactly. Maybe he has something here. Rook e1. No, rook e4.
Oh, I see. If rook b4, rook g4.
And if I play c3 right now?
And Kyron's in the chat saying
rook g4.
Rook g4 is next.
Yeah, rook g4 is the threat. Well, c3 is an interesting move. I mean, it looks like the only move, unless you play king g8. So it's king g8. King g8 is possible. I play c3.
c3, rook c4, king g8, right? That's the best way to proceed, in my book. Rook g4, c2.
Well, now white
h7
queens
would check, but he doesn't
so
have
what? He
another
plays
check.
king e7.
Yeah, there's no other check to follow up. Wow, well, the queens are coming back on the board. Yes, but black does have time to organize some type of defense, if possible. Okay, well, rook takes b4. Here, I think that should secure some type of draw.
Wow, look at that.
That's a good,
Nice.
maybe a good move or maybe a bad move. Check king e7 and then king h3 or g3. How does black get back to stop the pawn?
h7, c1 queens, right? Because if you take rook takes c1, you have rook h4 check.
I'm saying now king h3 or king g3.
I see.
This was a mistake on his part.
Rook b1.
Oh, rook b8.
Oh, that's a nice move, rook b8.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that might work. Rook b8.
I think it does work.
Yeah, h7, rook takes c8, and h8 queen isn't possible.
Yep,
So.
Yep. And Kyron sees that too. And Will. Oh,
Yeah.
Did not see.
Oh, that
Rook
looks
e3
like
check.
a mistake. He's either going to see rook b8 or he's not. I mean, there's no sense in doing this. He's either going to see it or he's not going to see it.
What if he played rook b1 here? Okay, well, I think he missed it, but. Or maybe his idea is for king h5, he'll play rook b1.
Yeah, it's true too.
This might turn into a draw if...
Walder offered a draw. Gusainov declined it.
Of course. Why, that's so silly of Michael to offer a draw there. Just so silly.
King e3. I'm waiting. Rook b8. Rook b1, hopefully. Well,
Queens.
rook takes c1. Rook takes g2, I guess.
Rook h1, rook g8. No, that should be
Ew.
enough to hold the draw. Black's, that should be enough to hold the draw.
That's an interest.
That's a good move.
Yes, because king f8 as met by rook c8
Yeah,
check.
black should have played rook b8 like Kyron said. Oh no.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
That's just
not good.
acquiescing to the loss. Michael, you had your chances here.
Wow. That was drawn, no? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Michael.
Wow. Wow, that's too bad.
What about Prasanna's game?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Michael. Here we are. Prasanna Reo and Felix German.
Well, White's done very well. I mean, he's a pawn down, but he has some chances here to hold.
Well, it looks like it's entering a rook endgame, so by default it should, but you never know. So his plan is for king to f8, rook d6.
He's not going to play king f8.
Well,
He's
yeah,
going to play king
yeah.
g6. And
King
he's going to
g6,
give up the
rook
a
d6.
pawn to bring the king into g4. A la Capablanca.
Is that right? Give up that pawn just to
Yeah,
get,
he's
get
going
our
to play
king
king
position?
g6, rook d6, king h5, rook a6, king g4.
Well, would that win the g3 pawn? King d3, rook
I
d1,
mean, that's
probably.
the obvious way to play here. But, I mean, passively playing king g8 or king f8, I think that's, I mean, it could be the right strategy here as well. It's possible. It does seem like that there might be an alternative way to play it. It's just try to take the a pawn.
But it's just not your practical way of playing rook in games. And I do agree, putting the king on the back rank with the rook on the 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not a good
just
idea.
like you want to play king g6, but I mean, it could be the right,
Now, Felix's
14 Rabbits
problem-
is saying black should go forward. I agree. That's the intuitive move to play king g6 for me anyway.
The tough part for Felix here is his time.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that he knows
Boy,
his rook
we're-
endgames really well, though.
We are giving these. I mean,
We're making 'em
Michael
work for
really
it.
had. Oh, he goes king g8.
Wow.
Well, okay. So he doesn't want to give up the h pawn, and he wants to take the a pawn, but Felix is saying, "Okay, I'm not gonna let you. You're gonna have to make a decision in some way." Yeah. So now he's gonna.
I think it's better to give up the h pawn and save the a pawn because the a and d pawns are your outside passes, right?
That's true. 2 passed pawns probably should be a win. Yeah.
I mean, here, rook h6 check, king f7, rook h5, king g6. Rook g5 check, king f6. So it should work. I do believe black's gonna end up winning this. Yes, I do agree. White probably needed to take the a pawn, but seemed like the h7 pawn was the one decided to go for.
This is going to be tough too because Felix is going to have to work this out with very little time. Yep, and Gulko fan, Michael Walder's in the chat. You cannot make an inaccuracy against someone of that level, for sure. But that was a fantastic fight, and
Michael, you just got to hang in there a little bit more toughly with some of these. You're really on the cusp of beating and drawing these grandmasters so many times. Elliot had a grandmaster draw with 14 rabbits. How do you draw 14 rabbits?
He had a FIDE master draw with 14 rabbits. And
What do you think Black's plan is here?
I think Black is worried about losing the F pawn, and then it's a pawn race 2 versus 2. So, that's what's going to happen. He's probably going to lose one of these pawns.
That'd be so sad, honestly.
Rook d6, d4.
He's trying. King a7 next move.
This could peter out into a draw. Black should have gone forward. I think he made a mistake going back to g8. I think
Here, King e7. What do you say?
What?
King e7. So that when you play rook h6, let's say I'll play rook a3.
No, I'm going to play King d3 if I'm white, and that ties the black rook down to the to the defense of the d pawn.
Yes, but it is Black's turn to play, right? So Black will play King e7.
Yeah, but it's then rook d5,
Then
King e6,
e6.
rook e5 check, King f6, rook back to d5. Or else King d3 even.
And for those just joining, on the top board, Elliot Winslow, International Master Elliot Winslow, drew with Kyron Griffith on the top board, and Grandmaster Gadir Gusainov defeated Michael Walder in what looked like it was going to be a draw, and one inaccuracy led to his demise.
I don't think King d3 threatens to take either, but it just Black's practically in Zugzwang. All he can do is move his king, and then white can just keep attacking the F pawn or something like that, and it just looks like it should probably peter out to a draw. I think Prasanna should have gone King g6 a la Capablanca in that position back there. On this, I can understand why he did this. He didn't want to give up anything, but
a minute and a half left for Prasanna.
Yeah, this is not easy. Although, he's the.
Ooh, I just don't like giving up another pawn when.
This is now rook a4. Oh, he's going to play rook g6? I see. And
So
then
there
rook
is
a5, rook f6. Well, I guess it's possible.
Then I would play rook c5 for that.
And white should have maybe gone behind the pawn with rook d7 check and rook a7.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of possibilities that the players could be trying here.
So what's the winning strategy here? Like what?
Well, now Black can play rook f6 and then bring the king over to b6. And white probably is going the wrong way with king f3, I think.
Yeah.
Now, although Black still has to go back and defend, so maybe he can. I don't know. Yeah, white's going to get a lot of counterplay too by coming over to the king side. This is probably a draw.
And draw would be huge for Felix.
Yeah, it's probably a draw.
But the time, although Felix seems to be playing quick enough.
Yeah, he does, and his moves are pretty. They're. Oh, now Black is going to try the other idea here, I think.
Rook a5 now.
Black can't have everything here. He can't support the A pawn without giving up the F pawn. It's part of the problem.
And Prasanna start.
King G3, I like that move actually, because Rook D3 checking F2, the rook is forced back to D6.
How can Black be winning this? I don't think.
Well, he's like,
now Rook A5 again, and we're back where we were. He misses Rook A5. I don't understand.
and now Prasanna's under time here.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything for Black. I don't think this is. And now it's even after Rook F6, King G5. Well, King G5 has got to be a dead draw. Why not just check with the rook?
Wow, he gave it up.
He loses a move. Okay, this is a draw. This cannot be a win for Black. King G5. That's probably good too. White's going the wrong way with his king.
D4. Yeah.
Going the wrong way. He should stick around for the queen to make a queen. He should have played King G5. This is another move, losing a tempo. Rook A2, completely unnecessary.
This is.
I think the king is
This is
close
probably
to
a
the pawn.
win for Black now. Yeah. 5, F7, maybe Black. Yeah, King E6 is good. Yeah, it's a draw, huh? Fantastic
For Felix, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good for him.
Wow.
And we've seen him live several times with a great position against a very, very strong player, and then just something go haywire. But he held it this time under a lot of time pressure.
Wow. And Gusainov should have drawn his game, putting him out of the prize money too. This is amazing.
Yeah, this actually really
players are just socking it to these guys.
it really affects the standings, and actually I'm wondering if it affects who Elliot would play, because he'll play Gusainov. I'm pretty sure
He played Gusainov.
he played him already. Wow,
That's right.
Now the question is, was he going to be playing Prasanna, right? Because he has not played Prasanna as of yet.
Who?
Yeah, and what about Felix? They've got the same score, 5 points.
Yeah. And Judith, are all the games finished? All the games I had up were finished.
Wow.
But I didn't pull all the games up. I know there were.
Elliot's still half a point ahead of the field, right?
Yeah, and Kyron is fairly certain he'll play Gadir. I've not looked at the standings yet or what it would be. So Gadir, yeah, he'll have 5.5. Kyron will have 5.5. They'll play each other. Mike Walder will be at 5. Prasanna will be at 5. Felix will be at 5. So he may play. Actually, who won that game? Javier Silva won. Actually, Javier Silva is at 5.5. Also. So.
What an exciting final round coming up here. But Elliot's been the best player in this tournament so far. He just has been. I mean, he really, I don't know, Michael. I make a lot of mistakes in the end game too. I think, it's a matter of keeping your head sometimes, and but I like the end game more and more and more now. And I think Prasanna, it was interesting. That was a very interesting position where Felix checked on the rank, and Prasanna went back King G8 instead of coming up King H5 and giving up the A pawn. That would have been this sort of the Capablanca idea from the famous game against Tartakower.
And there's one game left, and then
They're all done?
all good. Well, last game done. Perfect. There it is. So all the games from round 7 of the TNM done. As soon as the standings are updated, we'll throw the link up there. Should take a few minutes. And man, what a round with Felix sort of throwing some chaos into the standings with that draw.
What's his score, Felix's?
He's got 5, I think.
Excellent.
5, yeah, he's got 5. Persano will now have 5. Mike Walder 5. Gadir 5.5. Kyron will be at 5.5, so they'll play each other because Elliot's already played Gadir. And
speaking of taking 5, I think I'm going to take 5 here, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
But Javier Silva's got 5.5 points, so
sounds like that's Elliot's opponent coming up.
Well, yeah. That's what it'll be. It has to. They're the only ones with 5.5 that I can see here. It'll be Javier Silva against Elliot Winslow at the top, and then Gadir likely against Kyron Griffith, where Kyron will have white and Javier Silva will have white against Elliot, is what it looks like. So if you're watching, this is the Mechanics Institute Tuesday Night Marathon. These are the final rounds. Round 8 is going to be happening at 8 o'clock or shortly after 8. We manually pair these games on chess.com, so we do the pairings using our standard tournament software, Swissis. And we have event manager status at the Mechanics Institute, so we can start the games ourselves on chess.com. And so we do the pairings, post them up, and then we start the games. Gives the players sort of a live tournament experience online, or as best as we can do that feel. And it allows us to start the round times at prescribed times, which is great for the players because they can go take a break, get a coffee. How's school going for you, Tejas?
Well, I'm having better sleep schedule than usual this week, which is quite nice.
Yeah, you've been pretty busy with the schoolwork.
Yeah. I mean, they've assigned homework after homework for homework. Very consistent. You know?
That's how school is. And the time right now is 7:53, so as soon as those standings are updated, we'll load them up. Actually, you'll be able to catch those here, right there, so just keep popping that. And they still have not been updated yet.
Tell us about the Mechanics membership.
Yeah, so we have a membership drive going on at the Mechanics Institute that's lasting from right now or last week versus through the end of the year. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to encourage current members to renew their membership, but we're trying to get new people into the Mechanics Institute by providing them a lot of value. So starting in November, we're going to keep our entry fees the same for members, but the non-member fee is going to go up by $10. So it's usually like a $20 difference. So if you're a Mechanics member, you'll save, on average, $10 to $20 per tournament. But you'll have all the other advantages of the whole institute, which is borrowing privileges of the library. And even our library, we have a lot of electronic resources that people can access from home. But you'll also have access to our events that we have online, like speaker events, author events. We have Cinema Lit, where they'll show movies. So all of that, and all this applies to live events also. So once we open up again, our live tournaments, our author events, going to the library to check out books, and you can even still check out books now, but it's like a curbside pickup. You can still order from the library and then just go to the institute, pick up your books. They'll have them all prepped for you. So you get all of that for $120 for the whole year. Literally, if you just do 7 of our events throughout the year, it just pays for itself already right there. And a lot of our players, as you know, participate in a lot more than 7 events over the whole year. So it has its advantages. Check it out. Let me put that link up right here. And if you've never been to the Mechanics Institute, it's literally something that you can put on your list of things that you have to do. I remember one time I had someone just walk into the club and was just in awe of the chess room, and he just got on the cell phone with someone and just said, I'm in chess heaven right now. So I'm literally in chess heaven. And for those of you that have been there, you know what I'm talking about. And the pairings are posted, standings are posted. So let's take a look real quick. What do we got going on? On board 1, we have Javier Silva as white against Elliot Winslow. Board 2, Kyron Griffith against Gadir Gusainov. And on board 3, Prasanna Rayo playing Nitish Nathan. And on board 4, Michael Walder, who had a tough loss, playing Ethan Gould. So those are the top 4 boards. So Javier Silva, a Scholastic player from the Davis area, Sacramento area, I believe is a student of FPON. So this is one of the biggest games he has had with a lot on the line. So let's see how he does against Elliot. And we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on board 2 with Kyron Griffith and Gadir. That should be a monster matchup. These games should be starting on time. I think we will be starting right at 8, and we'll have the games ready to go. Don't go anywhere. If you're still watching, the games will be starting in a few minutes. The final round of the Tuesday night marathon. And just want to give a quick shout out to Judith, who's in the back. Chief Tournament Director, Tournament Director Extraordinaire, actually. And she's all over the place. She's helped direct the Scholastic Nationals, and she was helping out at the Spice Cup last week. And here she is pairing the Mechanics Institute Tuesday Night Marathon. So,
you think I could get chess books from the library? The Mechanics Library?
Yeah, absolutely. So
if you have a store of it.
Yeah, I mean, the chess collection at the Mechanics Institute is the largest on the West Coast. I believe it's one of the 3 largest in the whole country.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Let me fix Paul here.
I'll happily take the FIDE Master title if you don't mind, Paul.
Hey, I actually earned that thing.
I was gonna say, the chess players, they're pretty protective of that title.
It was a long time ago, though.
I thought you were getting your Grandmaster title soon enough, Paul. Thought you could just happily donate one for me.
Hey, did you ever do that, Paul? Did you ever go through, I'm working on getting my Grandmaster or International Master?
No, I would have had to do International Master first.
Really, would you? I thought you could just immediately go for your Grandmaster.
Well, I guess you could. No, I at a critical point in my chess career, I looked around and it wasn't for me. I've written about it in the newsletter, and not much else to say. Ultimately, I wasn't willing to lead the life of the traveling chess player and put in the work necessary to make it my profession. And so, on the other hand, I maintained a certain strength, and that I'm proud to say that I'm still a decent player.
And Chess Lover is correct that the White Collection in the Cleveland Public Library is the largest.
Oh yeah, that's incredible.
The largest. Excuse me for 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Sure. Yeah, Larry Christensen did it one leap, I think, and anybody who won the World Junior, there must have been a couple of other players that became grandmasters. Yes. I think Karpov might have made it in one leap. I don't ever remember seeing an international master Anatoly Karpov. I might be wrong, but there's some players that I think made that leap to Grandmaster. Tejas, maybe it'll be you.
Oh, that's a long way to go, you know.
Sarawan. I think Sarawan, yeah, it could be. Maybe anybody who, yeah, I'm not positive.
Really,
about who-
Kemsky,
you know,
good.
there's more than one. Yeah, and I like you're asking. We need somebody else to look this up because I'm not. I don't know.
I know Kramnik did. I know Kramnik didn't need an IM title, and he got his GM title immediately.
Yeah, there's some players that were just so powerful out of the gate, so to speak, that they never had an IM title.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a bunch of them.
Right.
So tell us about who conducts the history classes for each World Championship on mechanics.
Oh, I've been teaching that class.
Exactly. I guessed it was you. I completely forgot for one entire minute.
No, I mean, what I'm doing in that class is I'm going over select a bunch of games from these World Championship matches and giving a little background information. I mean, there's many players who haven't played over any of the games from any of the World Championship matches. And so it might be a chance to get acquainted with the World Championships and the players and the games of these matches. I mean, they're incredible matches and incredible games. Everything is on.
Masterclass from the past.
Yeah.
So, what is the most interesting tidbit you've come across while researching the comp game?
The most interesting? I don't know.
Would it be?
I mean, it's not a tidbit, but I would just say I'm going over the World Championship game matches, and I'm just impressed by how strong the world champions are. All of them, stretching all the way back to Morphy. All these players were the premier players of their day, and very legitimately so. Their games are, if you put Anderson and Morphy into modern day chess, some time to catch up on opening and so on, they would be outstanding players. There's all the way from Steinitz and Lasker. These players were making the rules that we're all playing by now. It's just extraordinary how strong these players were.
Yeah, we still have space advantage as a type of advantage that Steinitz made, which was about 200 years ago, wasn't it?
No, Steinitz wasn't 200 years ago.
No, it wasn't.
Thank
Who
you.
was it?
Steinitz was world champion from 1880. The first world championship here. I'm teaching a class and I can't remember when the Steinitz Zuckertort match was.
Was it 1889?
Something like that. 18.
Yeah, so like approximately 200 years.
And
and then
just like they can be.
no, that's
hey guys, so
200
we're
years.
gonna start the last round soon. We had to go over a color allocation question, so Judith had called me.
Okay.
We figured it out, so we will.
That's why you guys are the tournament directors.
So we'll
Because if it was up to me, I'd give Elliot another black.
Well, he got another black.
Oh no! I didn't mean that.
Well, he just played no. So he had white in the last round.
refresh your browser, Elliot.
Like, that's not true, don't worry. You obviously, got a wife, another wife, hopefully. Praying.
Let's see. Hold on, gotta... There we go.
The drama of the who gets what color in the last round. I remember so many times players, in some Swiss, there'd be all these players crowding around the tournament director's table, demanding that they get white in the next round and bothering the tournament directors and everything like that. I mean, nowadays the tournament director can be like, well, the computer says, sorry. The computer says you get black and there's nothing you can do about it, But in the old days, I think the tournament directors, I guess they still have the final say and discretion,
So the round has not yet started. We're just fixing a couple of glitches. So if you're watching, your games have not yet started.
Gusainov has not lost a game, but he entered the tournament with 2 buys. He entered the tournament late and took buys in rounds 1 and 2.
In rounds 1 and 2, and that's why he has the score that he does.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also because our players are giving him a tough time, including Michael Walder, who should have held him in this last round.
Yeah, that was oh my God, just one.
Oh, Michael, Michael shows his strength, and then sometimes just he's gonna have his moment in the sun where he's going to win one of these games.
Just like John Donaldson said when he won that the Botvinnik Award, every dog has its day.
Yeah. No, John's deserved his rewards for sure.
All right, so I think we're ready to launch.
Yeah. Here. Okay, good. I'll let you,
yeah, there's going to be all kinds of, there's going to be a lot of chaos here, so let me get this going here. So bear with me. This is part of the process.
This is a dramatic last round to the Ray Conway Tuesday Night Memorial. Conway was a chess room director, from
71, wasn't it? To
78 or something like that?
80.
To 80?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he was there when the chess boom, Fisher boom, exploded, and he was there when I joined the chess room, and he was quite a character. He always wore a black suit and a white shirt with a black vest, and he'd open his, he had a shoulder holster with a pistol, just like a detective in those old movies, suspenders, big cigar, big stinky cigar.
Yeah.
Across the, we looked like Fred Flintstone or something like that with a suit on,
and a gun holster.
Yeah.
And
out of a club.
And the games on the top boards have begun. So Elliot, play your game. Your game started. He's in the chat.
Elliot is on the black again. He's complaining.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to take that up after, and we can explain. So, yep.
Well, Elliot, a win for Elliot would be he's a half a point ahead of the field, or is he tied with Gusainov?
No, he's ahead.
Oh, he's ahead.
He's ahead.
So yeah, that's right.
If you just draw this game, don't you increase your lead, or you would have 6.5 at the end of it?
Yeah, but Gusainov could catch him. Is Gusainov the only player with 5.5?
Kyron.
Oh,
Kyron has 5.5.
And Kyron is playing Gusainov.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just working on something right here.
So Elliot is still yet to make a move. So we can kibitz his position here.
And we're working on getting you the answer. I think what he's doing is he's doing the
Really wants to know why he's black.
Yeah, sure, and we can wait. I mean, he's doing the equivalent of a filibuster, which is fine.
Except for he's losing time on the floor.
We'll fix that. All right, let me go to this game here, which a lot is happening. You guys can comment on that while I work on this.
Wow, what just happened? I think that's a very good question.
This is a Sicilian Defense, like a Paulson or something, where whites. I mean, I'm not positive, but I mean, this is how you play against a grandmaster. You throw everything at them and play for May.
Wow, so Knight of Fate here. I'm guessing white will play h4, e5, h5
Well, rook
maybe?
h4 might threaten bishop takes g6.
Knight takes g6, knight takes 7, king of fate.
Queen
Yeah,
takes
that works.
g6. So he plays h4, but so I mean,
Am I jinxing all the moves? I think that's a problem. Oh dear. Well, what would black play for rook h4?
well, I'm not sure. It's a bit it's past.
Yes. For
So we have
e5.
Gusainov. So okay, so h5, I suppose.
Bishop f5. I'm guessing. H
Well,
g6.
I don't know about that. You could take on d4 too.
Well, okay, so ed4, h takes g6. I actually think white's winning that, but
Might be.
I guess queen to d6 there.
I mean, h5, bishop f5. It doesn't seem to. I mean, white can just play hg6 anyway there.
Yeah, but oh yes, because bishop takes g6, bishop takes g6, knight takes g6, and queen takes a7 check again. Oh, but what if you played h takes g6 after that? Does that change anything?
Say that one more time.
So h5, bishop f5, h takes g6, bishop takes g6, bishop takes g6, h takes g6.
Yeah. I suppose that's possible. Maybe rook g4 or something like that.
Yeah, or white can play queen h8 check, king f7, and queen takes e5. That's a
That would
possibility.
certainly be strong. That would be
Yeah.
very strong.
Seems like h5 is a really strong move. So h5, queen d6 maybe? Does that change anything? Because for h takes g6, maybe you can play h takes d6 or so. That seems like the right way to go, because queen h8 check, king f7, and the e5 pawn isn't anything.
I think on h5 maybe black would take the rook.
Well then, what would you play for h takes g6?
And you'd have a bunch of moves. You can play e6 or e5, and if takes on h7, you can go hide in the corner. I have a feeling that's why Kyron's played rook a4 here. But rook a4 looks wrong here, and I'm thinking that white's preparation might have run out here.
Well,
H5 has got to be a move here for white.
Just need to confirm the color
Is taking the a7 pawn not the right way to continue, or just is not the spirit of the position?
It might be. It might be. I'm not sure.
H5. Okay, let's say we take your move H5. H5, G takes H5. Your move would be Queen G5 check there. I'm not sure H5 really works now because G takes H5 is a possibility.
Queen takes H5, threatening a rook on E8. I mean, that looks like it. That doesn't look so clear.
So
this is sharp. I mean, Kyron is Kyron.
Wow.
If he gets a shot, he's gonna find it. So this game is quite sharp here.
So
happen.
So we're working. We got Elliot the answer. So I was looking in the USCF rulebook, and I think what happened, and have Judith, because she has the color allocations for the players for all the previous rounds. They both had the same unequal imbalance of color allocation through the tournament, and so the rule book says if both players have an equal number of whites and black, or unequal whites and blacks, they go by the color allocation from the previous round. And since Elliot had white in the previous round and Javier had black in the previous round, they play their due color for the next round. So Javier would have been due white, which he got, and Elliot would have been due black. So that is it. USCF rulebook, and it's in Rule 29E4 number 3. So I do not blame Elliot for wanting an answer, and you should get an answer. So we're just the trouble in the moment is we're trying to get an answer in the moment as we're trying to actually pair games on chess.com, which is very different than pairing a game live, because you just put the pairings up and the players go to their seats and they just start their game. We actually have to input something into chess.com for every game to start the games, so it's just a little hectic in the moment. But thanks everyone for their patience. Thanks for covering while we were resolving that, and yeah, the games go on.
Well, we just speculated about this game, back and forth a little bit. G7 unfortunately doesn't work. Queen H6, G takes F8 check, Queen takes F8. So I think Kyron is running out of steam with this. He's going to have to take on D3, and
at least the A7 pawn is hanging, so the end of whatever variation he's thinking of, he could maybe take the A7 pawn.
I mean, is it possible that this is
sure
something that like Gadir has seen and this is a known thing, or because he hasn't spent too much time? Well, I mean,
Black's got this mass of pawns that kind of shield his king a little bit, and so Black is probably going to hope for. I mean, I guess Rook takes A7, but then somebody pointed out Queen B4 and then Queen F4 check. I mean, actually Queen B4 puts white on the spot a little bit after Rook takes A7.
Yeah,
and
that's very true.
Check, King F7. I guess Rook H7? No, it's not going to work.
No. What if you played F4 here?
Well, wait a second. Let me finish my thought. Queen H8, King F7, Rook H7, Knight H7, Queen H7, King E6, Queen G6, King D7, and then Rook A7 check.
And then King C8 or King D8. Sorry. No blunder rooks. So.
Yeah, it's Black's still very compact. Black's still very compact. Yeah, this is not seeming to work here. So f4. Okay, I like that.
So checking back on the top board here with Javier Silva and Elliot Winslow.
They've decided to play some chess.
What do you suggest we do, Paul?
What?
What do you suggest we do? Black has structural weaknesses and is not fully developed.
This is out of a Sicilian, too. Crazy.
I think Black's got a fine game here with the two bishops. You know, and pressure on the b file. You can always play a5. Very kind of thematic position.
And then...
So you trust White's better? Or, I'm sorry, Black is better in the position?
I think right now it looks kind of balanced, but it could shift one way or the other depending on the next few moves. It doesn't look like
switching.
Anybody's significantly better or worse at this point.
Here we have Prasanna Rao against Nitish.
Do I see a pawn being captured?
Yeah.
I'm elated.
Yep, that is a trapped pawn right there.
Yeah, Black is going to have to find some counterplay here. And I'm not sure where it's going to come from. I mean, you start with queen f5 and then put the rook at b8 onto c8 and, you know, something like that. Got to try something.
Do you think one idea, well...
I mean, you just have to activate your pieces. You're losing a pawn Rook e2. How about rook e2, threatening rook takes b2? Yeah, Black's getting some play. I mean, Black, you know, might have some play here. Rook e2.
Queen takes b4.
Rook takes b2.
Queen takes d6.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that rook on ba. I think that's probably the worst piece. That's hurting
Well, Black
one.
has to seek some activity here. Yeah, otherwise, you know, White can win that pawn at b4 and wrap up the game. High f pawn. Sorry about those cheap wins I had earlier today. That was really cheesy on my part.
In the arena.
Yeah, in the arena. I'm going to have to, you know, whatever. No excuses for me.
You won the arena, didn't you, Paul?
Yeah, well, it had my name on it, so I felt like I had I had to do something like that.
You had to represent.
For rook e2, what if White immediately plays queen f3? Your rook and bishop are under
Well, I
attack.
like your move. What's wrong with queen takes b4?
It's just that I thought queen f3 wins a piece or something.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. Look at that. It does. What a oh, maybe. Well, wait a minute. Queen f3, queen e8. Yeah. And rook takes b4. Whoa. I don't know. Prasanna doesn't seem to be as sharp as I would have thought, but maybe this is simple. Rook takes b2, queen d6. Just simple. Yeah, queen c2, queen f6, queen a4. But then bishop d4. Nice, chess lover. Yeah.
Hey, Alexi.
Hi, Alexi. Yeah. We have some real VIPs with us tonight. We have some VIPs.
And let's go back and check on Kyron and Gadir.
Absolutely.
I think Kyron's still trying to figure out how to proceed.
See now, well, apart from black being a pawn up right now, yeah, it's too bad we didn't get to see 2 more of Gusainov's games. So we've seen 6 of them. Is that right?
Including this one, it'll be 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still sticking with my move.
Strong player.
So it's f4 then. So f4, queen f6. What would you have white play in that position? F takes c4. I mean, sorry, f takes c5, queen takes c5, rook f4. Queen e3 check, king c2.
Well, if you're gonna play queen f6, you're just losing a tempo after f takes e5. So
Right.
I guess black would try something else there.
Well, the problem with the e takes f4, rook takes f4, and queen e5 is that you have rook take. Do you have rook takes f8? Yeah, rook takes f8 check, rook takes f8, and queen h7 is mate. So
That's not good.
So I guess for f4 there should be rook b4 then, because I can't seem to come up with anything else.
Well, then rook takes b4, queen b4, f takes e5, and Kyron should probably be happy there.
Yeah, that's not what I was looking for as a black player in this position.
Yeah, black. It looks like f4 is a good move, I think. To try to involve that rook on a4 in the attack.
What if you played king f7 in that position? Because for f takes e5, queen takes e5, rook f4 check, we can play king d6.
Yeah, I mean that's just, a very dangerous position. Queen h3 check.
King d6.
No, your queen is on d6, right?
No, my queen's on e5.
f4. I thought you said king. Oh, king e7, king f7.
Right.
Yeah. Well, then I can play rook a7.
Oh, and the rook just takes on a7. Huh. How fascinating. Then e takes f4 maybe? Or is that too much? Nah, there's rook f1 and that's not good because e5 isn't possible. So
Yeah, I'm going to take a quick look at Prasanna's game here as it has developed.
wow, that's a nice tactical shot. Rook c4, simplification.
Yeah, we'll take on b8.
Showing great technique here.
Well, b8 and then that bishop's pinned. The bishop,
Oh, that too, right. So bishop into b6 is
bishop on
impossible.
d8, yeah.
So queen d3 for a last cheapo. With rook b1.
Now you just check right there.
There's so many different ways to win this. Bishop c.
Right.
I guess you could start off with bishop
Maybe.
e4 check, maybe.
I'm trying to find one. Bishop d8, rook d5. Bishop d8, rook d5.
And rook
Well,
f4.
you could always play bishop d4 check, right?
Well, then bishop f6.
And then if I take on f6, king takes f6,
Yeah, I mean you're still up a
f4
pawn.
check, queen e5, rook d1.
Lexi's saying rook c7. Rook c7.
And for bishop takes c7, the plan is
Oh, rook c7 in the line Paul said. She's saying now. Yeah.
So I said bishop d8, rook d5, and then rook c7.
What about
Then
rook
queen takes
f4?
c7.
Bishop d8, rook d5, rook f4.
So you're saying bishop takes d8, rook d5, rook f4.
Then rook takes d8.
Oh, yeah. There is that.
But rook c7 is met by queen takes c7. And if you take,
And apparently, Nitish,
let's see, it's a board one.
Nitish had offered a draw to Prasanna.
To who?
To Prasanna.
Oh,
Which,
That's just silliness.
kids
But
these days.
Draw offers are hilarious. I think.
The kids need to learn some etiquette. So,
And Michael Walter also making a kind of a funny draw offer in his game earlier to.
yeah.
I felt like that was
That's just, you should
not
not.
justified.
You play a grandmaster, don't offer a draw until it's king versus king. You know, that's just the
And
way
even
you
then,
play.
he still may decline it.
Yeah, and then just it's a psychological blunder. It is what it is. I mean, and you saw it happen with Michael. He had a draw in position. He offered a draw, and then he lost it. It's just, you're taking your mind off the game. You know, a draw offer has nothing to do with the game on the board. You know, it's like a separate issue, almost.
Right.
And needs to be, even strong players like Michael Walter are unable to sort of compartmentalize, and you have to. Now the Elliot Winslow, Kyron Griffith draw, that was, I could see that because both players had, it was difficult to get exactly into the what was going on there, and it was psychologically maybe a good moment for Elliot to offer a draw. So very interesting, the psychology of a draw. Also, those players are evenly matched in a way, you know, Elliot and Kyron. Whereas, you know, Michael Walter, you still have to prove that you can play equally against a grandmaster. You know, it's just bad psychology, bad chess psychology. And even Michael Walter, an experienced player,
Draws.
know better. You should know better.
Draw. F Pon saying draw is a 4-letter word on par with other 4-letter words out there.
It really is. I mean, it's you know, the next time, has a grandmaster ever given an expert a draw in the middle game when the expert offered a draw? Never.
In the whole history of the world.
In the whole history of the world, yeah. Never happened. Yeah. So don't expect that it's going to happen this time, you know?
Hey, and let's check in on Kyron's game. And F4 was played, and then Queen F6.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Interesting. Your moves, Tejas.
well, it seems to be my day, you know.
So I guess black. But what about taking on E5 and then playing Rook F4?
I think black is banking
Probably
on
going
the
to go
fact
back
that
to G7. But then he's going to be a pawn down. White trades and plays Rook A7. I don't understand this. Maybe it's more difficult for black than I thought.
So,
F takes E5, Rook F4 looks really, Queen E5, Rook F4 looks like a strong move.
and for queen G7, what was the plan?
Oh, I see. Then Queen G7. Aha.
Seems like he's entangling himself. Hmm.
Yeah, Tejas, I think you're right on the money there, and I think Kyron is still struggling here with the. he might try f takes e5, queen e5, rook a7, just to grab back the pawn and keep black keep his chances alive.
So he takes.
Yeah, I mean,
Queen e5, rook g4, queen g7 seems to hold everything quite handily. What about queen e5, rook f4, then queen g7 as well? So yeah, Kyron must be racking his brains here, trying to figure out how to. I mean, after queen e5, rook a7 doesn't exactly inspire confidence somehow. It just, although to maintain material equality for the moment might be the way to go.
yeah, but it does look rather scary for white. His king is slightly
Actually,
open.
it's still, yeah. But again, an interesting game. Another interesting game. How's board one? We didn't get a chance to kind of analyze board one.
Let's go there. Javier Silva and Elliot Winslow.
I would give props to black.
Black is working on white here.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Bishop goes back to g6, I suppose, and then the e5 pawn's hanging in. So white's kind of e5 and b2. I guess white will play knight c4. So Elliot's probably thinking about playing bishop d5 here. One or the other. Maybe bishop d5 is a safer move.
Let's
Bishop d6, rook c1 is possible.
let's do a quick peek at Prasanna's game, just because it looks interesting here where we're at. Bishop f6 played by black, so white to move.
I'm getting better at this guessing game. I have to be proud of myself for that, I guess.
So I suppose bishop f6 and then queen c6 check. And then the king goes back to g7. And black's
I was thinking bishop into f6, king into f6, maybe rook c6 check. Because then for king g7 we can play queen e5 check.
Yeah, that's dominating. That's definitely good.
I'm just waiting for the time when white will play h3
Yeah,
and
I think
save me.
that's it. Yeah, I like that line too. That's quite clear. Very strong. White's up a pawn with a dominating position. Black's. In fact, you can follow it up with rook b6 at the end there. Black has to play. Okay, so bishop f6. That just seems to win on the spot, Tejas. King f6, rook c6, king g7, queen e5 check. If black plays back with the king, just rook b6 wins the rook. End of game.
Really? So
Oh
for
no,
rook
no, I'm
b6?
sorry. Black's rook is on b5. I've been taking it off the board for some reason. Yeah.
So
My mistake. I think I've been at this chess thing for too long today.
this chess thing.
Yeah, this chess thing. All right, so Kyron is pawn down and getting repelled here.
Objectively speaking,
I don't like
I
this.
believe that's a good point. I believe rook takes a7 was probably a better move than rook f4.
I don't know.
But even then,
He's going to go back with the rook. He's going to play rook h4 and then play rook h8 check. So that's an interesting idea.
what if I played? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
At least it's keeping black, makes use of that H file finally. Yeah.
If I just played e6 for that?
Well, I swing the rook over to h4, and then I got the idea of playing rook h8 and rook f1 or something like that, and it's still a lot of open lines and still some chances for white to get something going here.
So let's say I give you the move. After e6, rook h4, it's your move. Rook h8 check, king f7, rook f1 check, king e7. Is there really anything for white after that?
And he's going to try, what, queen h4 check?
And then king d7?
And swing over to the a file or something. Yeah, I don't know. The kind of thing, it's just, it's true, it's not clear, and it's over the horizon, sort of leading me to think that white doesn't probably have enough.
For rook f into f8. So e6, rook h4, rook h8 check, king f7, rook f1, f into f8. Okay, yes, that actually does work. Rook f into f8, rook into f8, rook h7. Yes, that does work. Although, maybe queen takes... no, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good line. It's an interesting line. I mean, that's what White's trying to do. He's trying to bring over the rook at f4 over to the h file, check black down on h8, and then bring the other rook over to the f file, and then try to use the queen some way as well. That's definitely Kyron's plan here.
We're going to move over to board 1 here. Check in on this game. Javier Silva and Elliot Winslow.
That's complex. You got to hand White, give White some credit here. I mean, if White plays knight d6 check at some point, it's still going to be... well, then Black could probably take and play f6 and e5.
Yes, that's right. What Alexei is saying. Your bishop g6 prediction. It came on the board call.
Yeah, I need I'm polishing my crystal ball.
Getting it ready for the next prediction.
So Elliot needs to find sort of the right combination of moves and ideas here. It's still, I think if I'm Black, I want to trade the rooks and play a minor piece kind of end game. It's White's at the moment defending all of his weaknesses, so and White, given time, might try to play something like f4, f5 himself, bishop g3 or something like that. And it's just very complicated position.
Oh wow. I think we're going to have a special guest here.
Awesome.
Excellent. We do need some help, on this.
And we have with us Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky.
All right.
Danya, how's it going?
It's going great, Abel. How are you?
Very good.
Paul?
Nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Good to see you too, albeit
Awesome.
virtually, but it's very good to be on the show. And I'm just so happy that you guys are streaming, and good to do anything in relation to the mechanics, which is the place I grew up, essentially.
Yeah, no, we love your support, and it was kind of fun being a part of your chess life when you were here in the Bay Area. How are things in Charlotte, being the Grandmaster in residence over there? You guys got a lot going on.
We do. Obviously, COVID has put a damper on the proceedings, as it has everywhere. But Peter, my friend, who's the director of the center, has done a great job making sure that the center has an online presence. There's a lot of classes going on online, and a lot of online tournaments being conducted. So obviously, most of my teaching is private, and I'm doing a lot of streaming, but I'm teaching a little bit with the center. I'm teaching a couple of group classes, so it's going well. We're trying our best, and I've had a great time here, and I definitely miss home. But I think that I'm happy with how things have gone, given the circumstances.
I'm really happy for you, because I remember when you were in school at Stanford, and we were talking, and with everything you were doing, you still said that you just love chess and you would love to have a life in chess. And I'm just really happy for you, because I remember that's what you really wanted and you were in school, but you're doing it now and you're all in. So I'm really glad everything has worked out the way you had wanted, doing something you really love.
Thanks, Abel. Yeah, I mean, I had this change of heart, of course, where I basically asked myself, there's no presiding authority that's telling me I cannot go back into chess.
Right.
And I had a great time at Stanford. I learned a great deal. I'd not be the same person without it, but at the same time, I sort of started living a little bit more for myself and less based on other people's expectations. And I found that is the only path to any sort of fulfillment. I'm still figuring things out. I've got, a great deal on my plate. I get overwhelmed often, but I'm doing what I love, and I certainly cannot complain. And I think I made the right decision.
Yeah, and I swallowed my pride going to Stanford sometimes to come and get you, being a UC Berkeley person. But it's really exciting, and even what you're doing with streaming, streaming lessons even that you're having with students is just, it's kind of really cool to see the way you use streams, doing all kinds of different things, not just streaming, live games, but even lessons and a lot of other cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I came out of the gate basically streaming Blitz and Bullet, and I love that. And by the way, just obviously I owe you a huge debt of gratitude for what you did, how you helped me out in the Bay Area, and all of the early mornings that you woke up at the crack of dawn to pick me up, and all of the stuff that you're doing with Bay Area Chess, and now of course with the Mechanics Institute and to Judith as well. A huge shout out. But yeah, I mean, my stream has taken on also a instructional angle, because I'm very passionate about teaching, and I realized that there's a lot of people playing a very high quality Blitz, and I'm always going to continue to do that, but there's less high quality training material out there for the masses, and I think that I could fill that void. So I've been working that into my streams as well.
And I know you don't got a lot of time. You're busy with a bunch of stuff, but what do you think of our board one here with Javier Silva and Elliot Winslow? What is your quick GM live look? Think of this.
So this is the TNM as far as
final round.
Last round.
Final round. So this is first place that's being decided.
Correct.
Who's in first right now?
Elliot.
Elliot by a half a point.
Yeah.
Okay. So Javier needs to. Well, I mean, let's see. Material is equal. Well, this looks right about balanced. I think that, okay, Black's got the two bishops. He's pretty stable. The knight on c6 is a little concerning. It's undefended. Well, it's only defended by the king. So something like maybe king c1 to prepare knight d6 makes some sense. Or move the bishop back from f4 and then try to get f4, f5 in. So I think White's got more activity. Maybe White has the easier game. But, I mean, Elliot is so experienced. I'm sure he's a good endgame player. He'll find a way out of it. Yeah, but bishop g3 and then f4, that might cause some troubles to Black. I don't see exactly what Elliot can do. Maybe he waits for f4 and puts his bishop on e4. So I think White's having the fun here, but it's probably objectively closer to equal.
And the other crazy game we got here is between Kyron Griffith and Gadir Gusainov.
Wow, okay, so... I mean, hot take is that White is obviously attacking. It looks like he's got Gadir on the ropes. There are some sacrifices that come to... Okay, rook takes g5 maybe doesn't work straight off the bat because takes king f7. And it seems that Black escapes. But, okay, so what's the material count? Okay, Gadir is up a pawn. So if Kyron doesn't quite succeed, things could backfire pretty quickly. But if he finds some sort of tactical idea here, he could be in very good shape. I don't see anything directly, though. So Gadir is very good at this. he's an escape artist, just like most GMs, of course. So he might have orchestrated another escape here.
Why are GMs such great escape artists? We all want to know.
Well, I think you learn progressively. You become accustomed to getting, well, first of all, you just get more bad positions, quantitatively speaking, so you get more experience. Right. But also, I guess the more you analyze with computers and the more you get exposed to various types of positions, the more you realize that most positions contain far more resources than meet the human eye. And this is generalizable to like almost every type of position. I feel like beginners especially can look at a position paradoxically, can conclude with far greater confidence what the evaluation is than a grandmaster, who realizes that he knows very little about most positions, such as this one.
I have seen that over and over and over again. There's actually a story in the club about Spassky was in the club, and one of our local players, who's about an A player, didn't know who he was, and Spassky was analyzing, and he comes over and he goes, "No, this is the right move," no.
Oh wow! And
right.
Ben Feingold is rating us with 343
very
people.
nice.
Very cool.
They'll be
Fantastic.
glad to see you, Daniel.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what they needed to round off their evenings. But yeah, I've had this argument with students a lot where they'll claim a certain evaluation and I'll say I don't know what the evaluation is. It's very hard to say. And the worst is when finally we turn on the engine and it turns out that they are correct. So they feel validated, but I say it's not because you actually knew anything about the position, you just got lucky. But it's a constant source of argument. But yeah, here the more I look at this position, the more I think Gadir is actually mostly out of the woods, particularly if he involves one of his rooks into the defense via G7, for example.
And Gadir did this in his previous game where he looked like he was getting just attacked, but he seemed confident and he had to escape Michael Walder in order to save his game. But GMs just know you have the comfort level with the position, even though it looks scary to the rest of us.
Yeah, Michael Walder he's a very cagey veteran. He can definitely deliver some upsets. So he's good.
Are you
some of these mechanics regulars? They're not to be messed with.
Yeah. Michael's a senior master back in the day. He's some big players.
And Daniel, you streaming tonight? You still got more streaming?
Yeah, probably. I'll put in a little blitz stream, and probably after that, I'm working on a top secret chess.com project, so I have to work on that tonight as well.
Wow, top secret. Very
so
cool.
This will be a very, very long night for me.
Well, we'll
as most nights have been.
We will be following everything you do, as we always do. We're big, huge fans of you. We always will be. We love what you're doing in Charlotte. And just thank you for giving back to mechanics when you can. I know your time is precious, so just thanks for sharing.
Not at all. No, I owe all of the gratitude to you and Abel, Paul. My development would not have been possible not only without the mechanics, but without your selflessness and competence and everything that both of you have done, and of course Judith as well. So I'm very, very grateful, and I don't do enough to give back. I've been really overwhelmed, but I promise to do more, and I'm happy to make a appearance whenever you guys have a stream.
That's
so
fantastic.
It's a pleasure.
And you got to get running, but thanks for stopping by, and good luck with the stream.
Yeah.
Thank you, Abel. Thank you, Paul.
Bye, Daniel.
Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, the
Fantastic.
Grandmaster in residence at the Charlotte Chess Center, and we go back a few years, and it was kind of fun to have him stop by. Thank you to Judith for reaching out and roping him in here. Thank you, Judith. And here we are back at the game. Now we have to analyze this as mortals again. So
no, I think this is it's very telling that Daniel could not see anything clear for White here, and I think that's basically White's quandary. There's a lot of activity here, but nothing definite, and looks like it's unless something materializes in the next move or two, it's starting to go downhill for Kyron.
Let me just go back to board one. And if you've joined us from the Ben Feingold raid, follow us at Mechanics Chess. We have our Tuesday night marathon events. We also stream Chess Social on Friday. We have our arenas with Grandmaster Nick DeFermian, 3-time U.S. champ. We do a lot of streaming, so follow us so you can get notified and follow what we do chess-wise here in downtown San Francisco. And
somebody asked, what's a Tuesday night marathon? It's the oldest regular weekly chess tournament in the country, been run since 1972. And Raymond Conway, Two Gun Conway, was the director of the Mechanics Institute Chess Club before Abel, way before Abel.
Way before me.
You call him Two Gun because he carried a gun.
Literally carried a gun.
Chess Club.
Wow, look at this! Look at this now.
Queen h3. I was thinking of this while our esteemed guest came on our channel here, but I'm not sure if it actually does much, because what would you do after, let's say, rook b7? You defend the knight, the rook doesn't have much of an entry. If rook h6 and queen f5, I'm guessing.
He's still trying to find a way in. And now the pawn at c6 is hanging. I'm guessing queen f1 check.
King c2, queen f2 check.
Yeah, that kind of looks pretty dangerous. This is.
But does it materialize in something?
Queen f1, knight d1. You can't play king c2.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I do agree. Fascinating. If I just, let's say I played c5 in that position. I like my pawns, so.
And after all of this, it's still just a pawn down now.
Well, then there's all kinds of possibilities, like rook g6 check and rook queen h5 and queen. It's just mind-boggling. White's king looks safe there too, so I'm not sure that black should bring the queen out of the game by playing queen f1 and then just play c5. Black needs to try to trade something here, but it's proving to be difficult. Kyron keeps finding the moves.
Back to board one. Elliot at 6 minutes left. This is the position.
I think it might be time for black to play bishop takes c2.
Is that because the knights are doing a great job of sort of backing each other up and defending?
Yeah, I mean...
Why take that knight?
It's just that the knight on c4 just looks so powerful that it kind of, all of black's pieces pales in comparison to it, honestly. So.
White's played a good game of holding black here so far. And the bishop g3, f4 idea is, white can still mess around with knight c2, e3. I'm not sure that bishop c2 is the right move. I think maybe H5. Black should play f6 or something to try to get some activity. I'm not sure, but it's quite complex. And the time situation is not good for Elliot.
Queen f5, look at that.
Well, it keeps the rook off at g6. I think, so here comes queen h5, threatening the rook at e8.
If I play...
Nice knight d1 move on the queen check, so black has really not got anything going down there. Knight d1 is just an excellent move. Black is
So
under
if I play
pressure
rook
here.
e6, rook e6, does it work? Hopefully.
Rook e6. I mean, I don't know. Rook h7. Is rook h7?
Queen takes h7.
And then rook at g5 check.
King h8.
Rook h5.
Well, your queen's on h5, right?
Oh, you're right.
I think queen takes g5 check is probably better there. Then rook g7, queen d8 check. And then king f7, queen d7. Wow, well. Maybe black's holding there. Rook e6, rook takes h7. Queen takes h7, queen takes g5 check. Rook g7, queen
hold on.
d8 check.
Rook e6.
Yeah, I think black's somehow surviving. I don't see how the white knight is gonna be helpful in the attack, so you're kind of playing 3 pieces versus 4, right? Rook f8. Yeah, maybe this is stronger because rook takes h7, queen takes h7, queen takes g5 check, king h8 works. Or no, it doesn't. Does it? No, there's okay. Instead of king h8, rook g7. Yeah, and that should be fine. So I guess white will now play rook takes c6, maybe?
It looks like the move.
I mean, knight f6 isn't possible due to rook takes g5 check, so...
The time is kind of evenly matched here. So what's up? Rook takes c6.
The queen... So there isn't a knockout blow. That's what we decided, right? Can
I
skip
don't
that
think
part.
so. Oh, no, I don't think so. Rook h7, you can take with the rook, and if
There's rook takes g5 check for that, I believe.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. He takes with the queen.
Well, that's what we were thinking of, queen f1 check. For knight d1, I believe you're thinking of queen takes d3. Let's switch to... I don't know, is a queen a bit too far away to defend black's camp?
It's mind-boggling.
Rook takes b2.
Big decision right here for Kyron.
What if I just play king takes b2, Ricata? So rook takes c6, queen f1 check, knight d1, rook takes b2. King takes b2.
That can't be good.
Yeah.
I mean, queen g6 check and queen h7 mate. Yeah.
Isn't the g5 pawn still there, Paul?
No, queen g6 check.
Yeah, but queen g7 isn't mate,
No,
right?
but the queen h7. Queen takes h7.
Where's the rook?
Oh, I see. The rook is taken at c6. Yikes! Okay. Well, then rook g5 check.
And then knight takes g5.
Queen g5 check. Yikes. King f. Yeah, that's just
7. Oh yeah, there's no rook g7. I forgot.
gonna be mate.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, knight d1 is a nice defense. Oh, what is Kyron doing?
He's trying to grab that c6 pawn.
So that he can take the c6 pawn.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know.
He got
I
under
just
6
don't
minutes
know.
too, so he had to make a decision.
It's an interesting choice. Rather than, but black didn't seem to have an attack, so,
But once he takes the c6 pawn, the d5.
Maybe he had
hanging.
queen take. Maybe he had queen takes d3 immediately.
Look at that.
Right. Rook takes c6.
yeah,
Maybe not.
that's true too.
And what, rook a4? Or?
Oh, knight
Knight
f6 is such a nice looking move.
Yeah, this is a problem since rook a4, rook f1 check, king c. Oh well, rook f1 check. I keep on saying king c2, but there's knight d1. Please remind me of that. There's knight to d1, but the g2 pawn is still hanging after rook g1. So.
Well, the white rook shouldn't go to a4. It should probably go to b4, but I don't know for sure.
Let's take a peek into.
I mean, even rook f6 is possible for white here, and then knight d5. I don't know, maybe not. Oh, Elliot has made this kind of progress here. Oh, this is shaping up to black.
2 bishops. Materials
Yeah.
even.
Maybe.
And Elliot has to be given the side eye to the Gadir game because if Gadir wins, Elliot needs to win to
Team soul first.
take soul first. Yeah.
How do you think black should continue, Paul?
Well, maybe bishop g2 and give up the a5 pawn temporarily. Yeah, can Elliot watch the Gadir game while he's playing? Why not?
I don't know if he can do that actually.
Unless he's watching the stream, in which case, he's listening to bad advice from me.
Well, plus the nature of this tournament, it's not like he can click on a chess.com and then find the other game, right?
He has to watch a stream with only 2 minutes on his clock.
Although he does have access to the Google sheet that has the game link. So
Essentially, he could if he wanted to, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's not worth it. That's the bottom line.
But he can be aware of what's happening in that game for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Elliot can worry about. You have to play what's on the board in front of you, and this black is doing what black is supposed to do here, and has the 2 bishops. And if black can play something like king d5, and all right, white takes the pawn with check, but that means he's losing the h pawn. Yeah, the king is in the center. This,
I don't know. Could we just trap that
or
knight
maybe he
on
could
a
play h4.
Could we somehow?
Black didn't play king b5, I guess, because of knight c4, and if bishop h3, knight d6 check. But that was possible too.
Is there no way to cage in the black knight on a5? Like play king c5 or something.
Say that again.
I meant caging in the black knight on a5. I mean, sorry, the white knight on a5. So like playing king c5, and then maybe take on a3 and then play bishop b5. Or king c5, h4, bishop d5, and the white knight is kind of stuck.
No, well, black's trying to bring the king into e4 maybe as well. King d5 has a natural feel to it.
I see.
If h4, king e4 maybe right away, or first bishop h3 or bishop f3, and trying to play bishop e3 check and take on f4. I don't know. It's still white's up a pawn now.
Taking a look back
the question
at
is,
Kyron's
can you
game.
play? Yeah. Whoa.
Well, I don't think I like Kyron's position anymore. No offense to him. But maybe he's doing all right, actually.
He looks like he's gonna get.
Pity for pawn back, right?
Our players are giving the grandmasters a run for their money here.
Yeah, no.
That's for sure.
Yeah, no free lunches for the GMs here.
So if rook g1, rook c2, and then the threat is on d5, you know, black doesn't, I don't know, it's gonna, a lot at the moment hangs on the g pawns.
Honestly, if he could just sack
Like
the
rook
knight for the pawn.
rook d5, rook g2 looks a little too risky for white at this point. I think maybe rook c2, but rook c2 is passive.
Yeah, I just don't think that's what white's really aiming for. But okay, let's take a look at rook takes d5. Rook takes d5. It's probably losing, but takes d5, rook takes g2. Rook d8 check, king h7.
Yeah, rook d8 doesn't accomplish it. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised. I think it might have, rook c2 might have been the right move, but because of, all right, unless there's some tactic here that I'm not seeing. I mean, can white play knight e3, rook g1, king c2 with the idea of playing knight f5 maybe?
And Kyron down 2.5 minutes.
Black
Ooh,
with
G3.
g3 first. So if rook c2,
Knight f2.
knight f2, and that's why he didn't play rook c2 right away anyway, probably. Well, I did say everything was hanging on this the g pawns, and
Oh, it seems like your prediction was right. What if I played rook e5 here? Maybe. I don't actually. What does that accomplish?
knight
That's
f2.
Yeah.
So
Maybe rook
knight
c4.
Knight f2. What has Kyron seen here?
Maybe b4 or rook d2 here. Rook d2. Yes, maybe that's what he's seeing because rook takes g2 is met by knight takes f2. Rook f2. And if I play rook c3, yeah, and then rook takes g2.
Knight e4. Oh, I did. Then he can check down on the back rank.
And Prasanna did win his game against
Rook
Nitish.
takes g2, I suppose.
Congratulations.
GM technique, yeah. Kyron's up a pawn.
So rook takes g2. Are we playing rook takes g3 check for that?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And white has a knight and 2 pawns versus a rook and 1 pawn. Knight e4. Now white can escape with a rook check on the back row, and he's still faced with this pinned knight problem. Yeah. Black
Which rook would you have?
Black
would you
seems to
put
be
on
making
d8?
progress here.
Which rook would you give a check for the black king? Do you have a preference? Don't care at all.
Wow.
Okay, so black goes back. The knight is stopping the frustrating for
This
Kyron.
is- yeah, this is
Very frustrating. Rook h4, king g7.
And Felix is saying it doesn't look good for black.
What?
Did you mean white? Or maybe black? So Richard Hack is in the chat saying rook d4, then rook d7, trade rooks.
Okay, but rook d4, rook takes
Yes.
g2. We win the pawn before that happens, right?
And Felix does like white here.
Well, that's fine. You like white. What happens though after what happens?
I don't like white's time. It's like 20 seconds left.
He's going back to the pinning thing, but he's lost like several moves. So rook takes g2. Oh, he took on g1 and he's going into the rook ending. Okay,
This works
this
too.
is difficult too.
Rook
The pawn
c2,
is so far advanced.
rook h1 check. Okay.
And Alexi's saying black is winning.
Yeah, I
in this
think black is.
Yeah. Shame.
There's also the, sort of moving up king f5.
I didn't like that rook g4 move.
Well, he's gummed up black's rook at f7 temporarily. So
King
that-
f4.
King f4 is a good
Yeah.
move. Rook f1 doesn't work.
Rook h4 check. It's not going to do anything either.
Wow, look at that. Kyron.
Oh, what if you... Oh,
Rook f3.
you know, I was thinking king d3 for that. Because... not really, because rook takes g3 check. King d.
Kyron with his back to the wall is finding moves.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, that's what you have to do.
And going to this game, Elliot's got 11 seconds left in his game. He's black here. He's the tournament leader. He's trying to finish this off with 11 seconds left.
Yes, it's the Golden Gate Bridge that Gadir has, yes.
Is that what it is? The two rooks and then the king in between?
Well, one has to be the supporter, you
I
know.
like it, yeah.
It's a 2-second increment, right? A 5-second increment.
Two second.
Yeah. So bishop f4, king f4, knight g5, bishop d5, knight h7, king f3. Yeah, he can build his time back up.
He can, but in difficult positions, it's difficult to build your time back up too, so.
This is black slightly better here. This is maybe not the way black should have
Tried for the win.
king e3.
Maybe it'll work.
Oh, why didn't he play king e3? Maybe this is better.
King e4, king e4, knight g5 check, I see. So I guess that didn't work.
I think black is, this is a nice move here, bishop d5. If b4, bishop c4 check, and then he can go over and take the h-pawn and not lose the e-pawn.
Flipping back to this game really quick, because Kyron's got 3 seconds left.
Kyron is putting up fantastic defense here.
Yes.
Just fantastic.
King g2.
I mean, it may be all in vain, but it's still. Oh yeah, yikes. Rook f1, rook d1, trade rooks and play rook a2, and then probably.
Yep.
It's like a Lucina position, but white has the b4 pawn. Oh, he doubles rooks instead. And Kyron keeps finding these flashy moves.
And he's actually built a little bit of, built a few seconds up.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see.
He's got a response right away, ready to go.
Yeah.
What was wrong with Rook D2 in that position? Oh, was that just losing?
Flipping over to this game
Really
really
was
quick.
just losing.
Elliot, 10 seconds still.
Oh, Elliot's winning now, I would say. This is exactly what... why not play bishop h3? Why play bishop f5?
Back to this other game. We're dancing between games here.
White's going for the one thing that he has, which is this b pawn, and he's managed to prevent black's pawn from advancing now for the last 20 moves or something like that. It's extraordinary. All right, rook g4, that can't work. King f3, yeah. Oof. I think this is it for Kyron. Rook b4.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice win by Grandmaster Gadir Gusainov.
Yeah. What a game by Kyron, though.
And Elliot has won his game.
Wow, congratulations, Elliot Winslow.
Elliot Winslow
Congratulations, Elliot.
wins outright the Tuesday
Over
night marathon.
ahead of Gusainov and Prasanna Rayo and
Yeah.
Kyron Griffith.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic performance
Elliot.
by Elliot.
Fantastic. Hometown hero.
Chess coach for the Mechanics Institute.
Yeah, chess coach.
7 out of 8. 7 out of 8.
What a score. Didn't lose a game.
Did not lose a game.
What a tremendous.
Undefeated. And I'll have Jude confirm if all the games are finished. There might be a game or two. We only followed 4 games in the round, so there might be other games still going, but all games are finished.
Wow.
So
congratulations. The veterans.
The Mechanics veterans, I mean, and even the non-winners, just the Mechanics players, they give the Masters a run for their money, between Felix and Christian and Elliot and Kyron. When the GMs come in, they get a fight. And
They thought there were going to be easy pickings at the Mechanics Institute.
And Alexander Lenderman said the same when he played Michael Walder. Yes. And
Yeah, give it. Lenderman really kept everybody off balance.
Yeah, and let me remind everyone that we do submit every game for fair play review. There are a couple of games we'll be looking at and having Dr. Ken Regan look at, and chess.com will look at, and we will take action if anything is discovered. So the results are not final until all fair play review comes back. So everything is tentative, including the prize fund. We don't even distribute the prize fund until all the fair play review is back. So just wanted everyone watching to be aware of that. We submit the games to chess.com, but Dr. Ken Regan reviews all of our games as well. And that's it. And Richard Hack is asking the fair play review. Chess.com and Dr. Ken Regan review the games of the Tuesday Night Marathon. We send them to them, and they run it through their algorithms, which are endorsed by the USCF. They're endorsed by FIDE. And we're actually really lucky to have Dr. Ken work with us because he uses our games for his research also. So it's a win-win for both of us.
Yeah, it's a nice. We have a deep pool of club players and sort of it must be an interesting kind of mix of people for him as well.
And yes, Dr. Ken knows his stuff, and we are aware of some of the action that needs scrutiny, and we take it very seriously, and we've taken action on players before. So once we have the data, we'll make our moves then. But I think our players know we're serious about it.
Dr. Reagan needs to look at my commentary and slap me in the face a few times and get me up to snuff here.
Dr. Reagan himself is an international master, so
I played Dr. Reagan twice.
Oh, is that right?
Back when we were juniors.
How funny!
In the first, he beat me in the U.S. Junior Championship in 1977 in Denver. He took first place. And ahead of Sarawan and some other players, and me, and McCambridge, Vince.
Is that right?
And some other people, and Jay Whitehead, and that was a pretty strong tournament. But a year later, I played him in the telephone matches. We were playing in the telephone matches, and I got my revenge.
The telephone matches.
Yeah, the telephone matches. They were the precursor to all of the online matches and stuff like that.
So
you'll be doing it in your head. E4, E5, knight of 3, knight C6.
No, the players would all gather in the club, and then there was a telephone line, and there would be a TD on each side, and the TD would the moves would be relayed to the TD, and the TD would come over and make the move on your board while you were thinking. There's a lot about it. There was the San Francisco team was the Berkeley Riots, or the Bay Area team was the Berkeley Riots, and the Washington Plumbers were another team, and so it's interesting history. Chess history from the 70s, late 1970s.
Wow. Well, this was certainly a marathon in the old school style, 8 rounds open section. And I think the best man won, Elliot Winslow, 7 out of 8.
Absolutely.
Undisputed. Gadir came in 1 week late, took bye for round 1 and 2. Good performance, but Elliot played him and held him even. So cannot.
Did Gadir take second place?
Yes. And let me just confirm that. I've Judith update the standings, but he had to have taken second. Yeah, because he's just a half point behind.
Right.
So. Tejas, thanks for joining us. We'll be updating the standings on that link on the Tuesday Night Marathon site. And Paul.
They're up.
Perfect. So go check it out. It's online. And I think what we're going to do before we sign off, I think we're going to give the viewers back to Daniel after he rated us in the arena earlier. So we'll be sending everyone to Daniel Naroditsky's channel. But before we sign off, thank you, Paul, for your commentary as always. And Alexi and Mike Walder, always in the chat. Richard Hack, Christian, Felix, all the Mechanics regulars. We love having our Mechanics family with us on Tuesday nights doing this. We will have a free
Alexi.
We will have a free tournament next week, and then the next TNM will start the week after that, and that is November 10th. So, before we go, another person that's always coming down on Tuesdays is FPON. Thank you for joining us.
And Alexi
Root, yep. And everyone else, if I have not mentioned your name, we're thinking of you. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. And as always, thank you to Judith, who worked super hard tonight in the back room doing the tournament directing. And it's a team effort all the way around. So thank you. And we're going to send everyone to Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. Thank you, everyone. And join us Friday for the Mechanics Social. And we will see everyone soon. Thank you, everyone, from the Mechanics Institute in San Francisco.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
And